Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're tackling one of the most exciting and, yeah, frankly, kind of intimidating milestones in personal finance. We're going to dive into the exact step-by-step mechanics of building a massive 7 crore rupee retirement corpus. And we're going to do it by stepping back into a truly fascinating metaphor. I want you to think of yourself not just as a saver, but as an architect of tomorrow. Today, we figure out exactly how to build your very own retirement forest. So our story picks up right where we left off with Aarav. Now, the morning after Aarav realized the terrifying reality of inflation, that dragon that quietly steals the time hidden inside your money, well, he couldn't sleep. He had spent days meticulously calculating his destination. He knew he needed exactly a 7 crore reservoir on top of the retirement mountain. But as the sun came up, an old man he was traveling with drew a circle in the sand and asked him a really simple question. You know the destination, but do you know the road? Aarav was just stunned into silence. He realized he had absolutely no idea how to actually fill that reservoir. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where the theory actually hits reality. The old man hands Aarav an enormous, completely empty clay pot. It requires exactly 7 crore drops to fill. Then he hands him a tiny, almost laughable little spoon and gives him a strict rule. You can only add water to this pot once every single month. Aarav puts in 1 spoon, then 2, then 10. He looks inside and the pot still looks completely empty. He just throws his hands up and declares it impossible. And honestly, hasn't every single one of us felt exactly this way when we look at our massive retirement goals compared to our tiny monthly savings? It feels like a drop in the ocean. To answer Aarav's frustration, the old man points to 3 different travelers on the road, each with a totally different strategy. The first traveler plans to just grind it out and work for 35 straight years. The second traveler plans to somehow magically earn a massive 20% return every single year. The third traveler quietly decides to just save a little bit more money every month. Now ask yourself, which traveler is actually the wisest? Well, what if the first traveler loses their job or gets sick and physically can't work for 35 years? What if the market crashes and the second traveler's magic 20% return just never happens? You see, those first 2 paths rely on things completely out of your control. The third traveler, however, they've absolutely hit the nail on the head. But before they take another step, the old man unrolls a parchment detailing the rules of their journey. Stable income, regular investments, salary growth. Aarav looks at it and asks, wait, why do we need all these assumptions? And the old man's reply is just brilliant. Because mathematics needs a world to live in. A financial formula is completely useless in a vacuum. It is literally only as good as the foundation beneath it. If your real world changes, like if you stop investing regularly or your salary doesn't grow, well, the destination changes too. So that brings us to planting the retirement forest and how time changes everything. We are heading back to the forest now, but the game has completely changed. Aarav isn't just planting one single solitary seed anymore. To fill that reservoir, he must plant a brand new seed every single month, month after month, year after year. Now, what is really interesting is what happens as the months roll on. Aarav looks at the forest decades later and he's kind of confused. Some trees are absolute giants, while others are still pretty small. He asks why they look so different when they were all the exact same type of seed. The timeline reveals the secret. The seed planted in January got a full 25 years to grow. The one in February, only 24 years and 11 months. The March seed got even less. They were identical seeds, but every later seed simply received less time in the soil. This leads us to a massive aha moment. As the old man explains, the forest wasn't growing because every tree was equal. It was growing because time treated every tree differently. The magic of the forest isn't about equality, guys. It's about time. Your very first monthly investment, that first tiny seed, is going to be the hardest working money you ever earn. It has the longest runway. Conversely, the investment you make the month right before you retire will work the least. It's all about the time they're exposed to the elements of growth. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what's happening mathematically. The old man kneels by that very first giant tree and writes out this formula. Future value equals principal times 1 plus the rate to the power of n. P is the money you invested today, your seed. R is how fast it grows, and N is the number of years it gets to stay in the ground. But remember, this formula doesn't describe your entire retirement portfolio. It only describes the growth of one single tree. So since Aarav is planting a new tree every single month, how does he calculate his massive 7 crore goal? Well, the old man explains that you calculate the future value of every single monthly tree, and then you just add all those little forests together. This is the beautiful underlying mathematics of systematic investing, or SIPs as you might know them. You aren't hunting for one giant windfall. Your corpus is literally the sum of thousands of individual growing trees, all planted at different times. It's like a giant puzzle coming together piece by piece. Let's look at some real numbers from Aarav's experiments to put that into perspective. At a steady 11% growth over 25 years, a $5,000 monthly investment leaves the reservoir far from full. So they bump it up to $15,000. It's better, but unfortunately still not enough for that 7 crore goal. It's only when he commits to $20,000 a month that the water level finally, triumphantly, rises close to the mark. Through this experiment, Aarav realizes a profound truth. The answer to his retirement isn't hidden inside some complicated, magical formula. No way. The answer is found inside consistent action, repeated over decades. Looking at those experiments, the path becomes incredibly clear. You basically have 3 levers: time, returns, and savings. You can't always control how long you can work, and you definitely cannot control the stock market's returns. But you absolutely control your savings. Never, ever build your financial future around returns you cannot dictate. Build it around the habits you can control. That's a real game changer. I want to pause here for a second and speak directly to anyone who is just starting out, maybe at their first job or internship. You get that first paycheck, you look at your expenses, and you think, man, investing 5,000 rupees right now is just too little to even matter. I'll wait until I make more money. But the old man points to the smallest tree in the forest to shatter this exact illusion. So the absolutely crucial point is this number right here, 25. That tiny, seemingly insignificant first investment from your internship paycheck has 25 whole years to become a towering giant. The later you plant it, the less time nature has to help you. Think back to the climbers on the retirement mountain. The ones who reached the summit effortlessly didn't carry heavier stones than everyone else. They literally just started walking earlier. As Aarav packs his bags, the old man draws these 4 symbols in the sand, showing how the entire journey connects. The forest taught the patience of compounding. The time machine revealed the mechanics of future value. The dragon proved exactly why we must outrun inflation. And the mountain gave us our 7 crore destination. You see, these were never separate, isolated lessons. They were all designed to prepare you for this exact moment, knowing precisely how to walk toward your goal. Let's move forward and see how this builds into our final question. Aarav understands the strategy now. He knows for sure he has to invest every month. But then he asks the most practical question of all. Where exactly do I plant these seeds? After all, not everyone has the time, the energy, or the expertise to study thousands of individual businesses and manage a massive forest on their own, right? The old man simply smiles and points to a distant city glowing through the mist. Over its gates, it reads, "The City of Investors." Because regular people don't have time to study thousands of stocks. An entirely new profession was born to manage the forest for us. And that leaves us with a thrilling question to carry with us today. As you stand at these gates with your seeds in hand, are you ready to finally understand how mutual funds can do the heavy lifting for your future? Keep that question in mind, and I will see you in the next explainer.